Today, we're diving into the incredible story of a truly brilliant mind at a turning point in history, Rabbi David Nieto and the rebirth of the Sephardic community in London.
And just so you know, all this great information comes from a publication by the soysephardi.org portal. They're an amazing resource for this kind of history.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll set the scene with the long story of exile. Then, we'll zoom in on London and its new Sephardic community. After that, we'll meet our main character, a genius scholar from Venice, see what he was up against, and finally, look at the powerful legacy he left behind.
To really get what Rabbi Nieto was all about, you first have to understand the world he stepped into. I mean, we're talking about centuries of turmoil, a whole people on the move, just looking for a safe place to call home.
Okay, look at this timeline. It's wild, right? We all know about the expulsion from Spain in 1492. But get this, Jews had actually been kicked out of England almost 200 years earlier, way back in 1290. For a long time, Amsterdam became a safe spot, a real beacon of hope. And that freedom they found in Amsterdam, well, that paved the way for the historic readmission to England in 1655. And that's where our story really kicks off.
All right, so let's shift our focus to London, where this new community is just starting to put down roots. After centuries of being gone, this was a huge deal. It wasn't just some dusty legal document, it was a brand new chapter for Jewish life in England.
So who were these pioneers? Mostly prosperous Jews coming over from Amsterdam. They founded the incredible Bevis Marks synagogue, which, by the way, you can still visit today. It's the oldest one in England. And here's a cool detail. They were a Spanish and Portuguese community, and their formal written language was Spanish, think Cervantes, not necessarily Ladino, which was more common in places like the Ottoman Empire.
So you've got this new, buzzing community, and right into the middle of it all walks the man of the hour, the guy this story is all about, Rabbi David Nieto. And his mind was about to change everything.
Now, the community's spiritual leader had a very specific title, Jajam. It's a term that carries a ton of respect and authority. And in 1702, who do you think they appointed to the position? You got it. Rabbi David Nieto was formally called to lead the Sephardic Jews of London.
And what a leader he was. This guy wasn't just a religious scholar, he was a true Renaissance man. He was a practicing doctor, a published astronomer who wrote about different calendars, a philosopher, a mathematician, a poet, the list just goes on and on. His intellectual range was just staggering. He was living proof that faith and reason could go hand in hand.
But here's the thing. Nieto didn't just walk into some quiet, settled community. He arrived in an age of massive intellectual change. New secular ideas were popping up everywhere, challenging beliefs that had been held for centuries. And Nieto? He jumped right into the thick of that debate.
And this really gets to the biggest question of the time. You had thinkers like Spinoza questioning pretty much everything. So how do you prove that the oral Torah, the rabbinic traditions passed down for generations, is still a valid, divine authority? That was the challenge, and Nieto took it upon himself to answer.
His answer came in the form of his most famous work, a book called Mate Dan. It was so influential, people actually called it the Second Kuzari, which is a huge compliment, referencing a classic of medieval Jewish philosophy. He published it in both Hebrew and Spanish, and it was a direct, powerful defense of rabbinic tradition against its toughest critics.
So, how'd he do it? Well, his core argument was brilliant. He basically said, look, all those disagreements you see among the rabbis, they aren't about the fundamental principles of the law. He called those the shorashim, or the roots. He said they were actually debating the anafim, the branches, the details and applications. The core itself, he argued, was unified and unchanging. It was a really powerful way to show the integrity of the tradition.
But Rabbi Nieto's impact didn't just end with his books. He was building something that would last, a legacy that would continue through his own family and echo throughout Sephardic culture.
And get this, 4 years after he passed away, his own son, Isaac Nieto, was appointed Jajam of the very same community. The torch was passed, continuing his father's intellectual and spiritual leadership and cementing the Nieto family's place in London's history.
The article we're drawing from puts it beautifully. It describes this legacy as a heritage that holds a treasure of ideas, beliefs, experiences, and knowledge, a latent culture that we have encrypted in the deepest part of our sociological and genetic roots. That's powerful stuff, and it's a heritage that figures like Rabbi Nieto not only lived but fought to preserve. For those of you who want to dig a little deeper, the primary source that's referenced in the soysephardi.org article is the website halaha.org. And hey, if you want to explore even more,
The life of David Nieto is really well documented. You can check out the Encyclopedia Britannica, or you can learn about the community he led on the official website for the Bevis Marks synagogue.
As we wrap things up, we want to mention one more time that this explainer is a publication of the Soy Sephardic.org portal.
If you found this story of history, faith, and intellect as fascinating as I did, please subscribe to the Soy Sephardi.org YouTube channel. And hey, share this on your social networks with anyone who might appreciate it. Thanks so much for joining me.